I'm the dude. So that's what you call me.
Are you a virgin?
Yeah, not since I was 10.
Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret.
Come on to the coast. We get together, have a few laughs.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Can I return it if it doesn't fit?
It always fits. Eventually.
Welcome back to Movie Mingle. I'm Caveman.
And I'm Maggie.
And we're on episode number 37.
In a row?
Yes. Wink.
Gonna make that joke a lot.
Anytime 37's brought up.
Gotta ask. In a row?
37. My girlfriend sucked 37 dicks.
In a row?
So we're doing Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Here we are.
2004. But before we get into the movie and the podcast, I wanted to hand you a shot of whiskey.
Oh, thank you.
And say, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Today, the day the podcast comes out, is your birthday.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and it's a big one, too. Whew. Happy 40th to me. I do wish we were doing this on a better movie, but no, what are you going to do?
Well,
yeah,
things line up perfectly in some spots, and
whew!
I think we were 1 week off from your birthday episode being an episode that you would have liked.
Yeah.
Next week's.
That would have been a fun one. If I truly had my way, my birthday episode would have been like one of my favorite movies, or like, you know, a bonus, whatever. But we want to keep to the schedule, so it's okay.
It landed right on your birthday.
Hopefully, you know, as you listeners are listening to this the day that it comes out, I'm enjoying a beautiful birthday cake and lavish love from my shapoopy here and homemade cards from the kids and a good steak dinner, because that's all I want, really, truly, at the end of the day, is I just want a really bomb-ass steak dinner and a nice old-fashioned for, yeah. And so, yeah, I'm excited.
Tasty.
Yeah.
Prior to us watching this yesterday, we had both seen this movie once.
Yes.
I for sure once.
Yes, me too. I definitely watched it maybe when it first came out on video. Or like, I got this...
I definitely did not see this in the theater.
I did not see this movie in the theater. I saw it when the DVD was mailed to us by Netflix.
Oh.
Yeah.
Back when Netflix mailed DVDs to people.
Yes, I definitely watched this in my home in Apple Valley, for sure. So I haven't seen this movie in a very long time.
I definitely rented this. It either came from... I don't think I got it from Netflix. I may have... By 2004, it came out probably on DVD in 2005. I might have gotten it from like Hollywood Video.
Yeah. Or
Blockbuster. I don't think I liked this movie when I first watched it back
I definitely didn't like it.
2004.
No, I also wasn't a huge fan of it.
I don't know what it is about movies where the girl, the main character is going after in this time period, always had to have colored hair. Between this, Lost in Translation, and like Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, no, we will talk about the manic pixie dream girl here in a little bit, because I have multiple thoughts on that. Sure. Yeah, but I know that the directors and the writers were like, she's the anti-manic pixie dream girl, and I'm like, nope, she is.
No, she's exactly
it. She's still it.
They tried to make her different than your usual, to make her like not just weird and quirky, a manic pixie dream girl.
It's a hard thing to say.
It is. It's all made up words. But I think they were going for, we're going to make her the anti-girlfriend in a way. You don't want her to be your girlfriend. Like the way he looks at her compared to like the way Scott Pilgrim looks at Ramona Flowers.
Yeah.
Very different. But Ramona Flowers and Clementine are still very similar kind of characters. Mm-hmm. But before we get in all this, let's start at the top with the director, Michael Gondry. Mm-hmm. He was actually a drummer in a French pop group called Oui Oui.
No.
Which is how he met Pierre Bismuth, who wrote the movie, wrote along with somebody we'll talk about in this moment. But he was also a music video director. Not only did he make the music videos for his own band Wee Wee, but he also did He also did Daft Punk's Around the World.
Oh, all right.
Foo Fighters' Everlong.
Oh, that is a weird video.
Radiohead's Knives Out.
Okay.
And he directed Human Nature, which was another movie that Charlie Kaufman wrote.
Fucking...
It stars Tim Robbins and Patricia Arquette.
I'm sure I saw it.
I don't know if you saw Be Kind, Rewind with Jack Black and Mos Def.
I might have, yeah.
It was about how all the movies in their store, in their Blockbuster or whatever rental place, they all get erased, like the magnet accident, as you do.
Yeah.
Because magnet accidents happen.
Yeah, it happen all the time. We had one here happen here last week. Oh, my VHS are gone now.
So they're all ruined.
Yeah.
And so they go through the insane idea of recreating every single movie on camera, just the two of them.
Do vaguely remember that, yes.
He was also the director of 2011's The Green Hornet. Probably the worst movie I've ever seen Seth Rogen and Christoph Waltz in.
Oh, I didn't even see it.
Oh, please don't. It's up there with like Green Lantern and Morbius. It's just bad. Bad writing, bad acting. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind was written by Pierre Bismuth, as we said, who had become friends with Michael Gondry. And this was his only project he ever worked on as a screenwriter. He had talked to Michael Gondry about one of his friends was complaining about her boyfriend, and he asked her if she would erase that boyfriend from her memory, and she said yes. So he originally planned to do this art based experiment involving sending cards to people saying that someone that they know had erased them from their memory. So kind of an experiment, also kind of a terrible prank. So when he mentioned this to the director, they developed it into a story based on the situations that would arise if it was scientifically possible. And in the end, he did not send out any of those cards. Probably for the best.
Yeah, because I would have fucked up a lot of relationships.
Right.
Yeah.
The main script, screenplay, dialogue, all that was from Charlie Kaufman.
Yeah, Charlie Kaufman. Pretentious asshole, Charlie Kaufman.
I don't know a lot about Charlie Kaufman except for what I've seen in entertainment, essentially, whether it was Nicolas Cage's adaptation, which Charlie Kaufman did right.
Yeah, I know, and it might actually be my favorite Charlie Kaufman movie, but I haven't seen it in so long.
I really love Being John Malkovich.
I've never actually seen Being John Malkovich.
I did not expect that answer.
Why?
I expected...
actually, no.
That's like a popular, kind of weird, like one of those popular 90s films.
I have vague memories of having watched it, but A, it was so long ago that I remember nothing about it. B, I'm pretty sure I was bored with it and barely paid attention. And C, don't care enough to ever watch it again. So, don't try it, because I don't care that much. I remember it being weird, and if it came out in 99, I saw it as a young teenager, and while I was a pretentious asshole of a young teenager, as all young teenagers are, I wasn't that level of pretentious asshole. I mean, there were some things that were a bit too pretentious for me, and that was Being John Malkovich. Adaptation I enjoyed, I think probably because of Nicolas Cage. You know, Confessions of a Dangerous Mind is actually a pretty solid movie.
Mention that one.
That's a pretty decent one in that it's a biography and it can't get too weird. Like it's a weird biography and a weird story, but it can't get too weird and too Charlie Kaufman-esque.
Sure.
So actually, I would probably say that's my favorite. I never watched Moral Oral. I think I tried to watch Schenectady, New York, and gave up. And I haven't even realized that he's done anything else since then.
From what I've been told, I will probably enjoy Schenectady, New York. I just, haven't.
No. My laptop is not your bed, not while I'm recording. In order to keep producer Robin off my laptop while we record, I have to scratch his chin for the entirety of our recording process.
The music was done by John Bryan, who also did music for Magnolia, Punch Drunk Love, I Heart Huckabees, Schenectady, New York, Step Brothers, which I know a lot of people love, The Other Guys, which I know a lot of people don't like, Paranorman.
The Other Guys with Will Ferrell
and Marky Mark.
I know so many people that love that movie.
Love it?
Love it.
Wow.
Quote it all the time. And I don't get it because it's fine. It's fine. But
less than fine.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that fucking love that movie.
He also did the music for a Judd Apatow movie called Trainwreck with Amy Schumer and Bill Hader.
Oh, yeah, I
Brie
think
Larson.
I saw that.
And we've mentioned him before because he did the music for Lady Bird.
Oh, I did not enjoy this music in this film. I thought it didn't fit what was going on in the screen. I didn't like how the director chose to, specifically the music that's playing when they're on the train meeting for what we think is the first time. And like every time they have a conversation, the music starts up and plays while they're talking. And then when they stop talking, the music stops. So I found it just wildly distracting. And it was one of those cases where like the like weird upbeat electro like funk fun music wasn't fitting the scene, right?
Or
it was too quirky and weird.
But a lot of quirky and weird things are happening on screen.
But the music was distinctly distracting.
You don't think it's just supposed to make you feel a little uneasy?
Maybe. I don't know, but I don't like that.
Supposed to like it's a thing with this movie.
I know. And I don't like it.
Between the cinematography, the music, and even the acting, and then what's happening with the situations happening on screen, it's not supposed to make you just sit back and enjoy a rom-com.
Which this is not.
No, please, no, it's not at all. Speaking of cinematography, it was done by Ellen Carras, known for Blow with Johnny Depp and Penelope Cruz, and Summer of Sam with John Leguizamo and Adrian Brody. I've seen both those movies. It's been a long-ass time since I've seen those movies.
Yeah.
Eternal Sunshine is certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes with a 92% from critics.
People fucking love this movie.
And a 94% from audiences.
People fucking love this movie.
People absolutely love this movie. In a lot of conversations, it comes up as people's favorite Jim Carrey film.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it on my top 10.
Not for Jim Carrey.
No.
Or even
Kate
favorite
Winslet.
movies. Or even Kate Winslet.
Yeah.
Audiences liked this movie 4% more than Up. Right?
You heartless bastards. You know why? It's because everybody's had their heart shattered into a million pieces, but not everybody has felt the beautiful love that Ellie and Carl have. So
Of being together for decades.
And also, like, I mean, we said it last week. Up is a great film, but a little light on plot. So I could see some people reacting to that, but still.
The movie was made for $20 million, and it made 34 domestic, 38 million internationally, for a total of 72 million. It also made another many dollars. I couldn't get an actual number for home media, but it says it sold 600,000 units of VHS tapes and DVDs combined just on its first day. 600,000 units of VHS and DVDs on the first day.
I mean, it's no The Incredibles, but like, okay, Eternal Sunshine, I guess.
It was later released on Blu-ray in 2011, and then in 2022 got a 4K release, which included a new color grading. And I don't hear this happening very often, but it should happen every time, is when there's a 4K restoration, the original cinematographer of the movie helped supervise the 4K restoration.
Well, yeah, no, that should be something that they do more often. Because
And maybe they do try, just don't hear it as often. The movie also won 73 awards, including 2 Oscar nominations, and of those 2, got 1 win. It won for Best Original Screenplay, so Charlie Kaufman got an Oscar for this movie. The other nominees were for The Aviator, Hotel Rwanda, The Incredibles, and Vera Drake, which was a British film about an abortionist in the 1950s.
Ooh, that sounds like a fun watch.
I bet it was. Kate Winslet was nominated for Best Lead Actress, but she lost to Hilary Swank that year for $1 Million Baby.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that year. I remember watching that Oscars because was a little upset that both $1 Million Baby and The Aviator from Martin Scorsese were winning everything that night.
I remember watching it, but I don't remember really having a...
But it's funny that between the two of them, they were nominated for so many. They both won so many. But this movie just snuck in there and grabbed the screenplay from both of them.
Yeah. Well, it is a clever story.
It is a clever story.
Yeah. Where am I walking in here? Because I feel like I can't tell if I'm walking into a puddle of like, you know, walking into an electrified puddle of like, you fucking loved this movie and everything was amazing. Or if I'm diving into a pool of, you also didn't like it that much. So.
Well, like I said at the beginning, I remember not liking this so much when it first came out. Mm-hmm. And then last night watching it, I still kind of don't like it.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's not...
I have a few theories on this.
Okay.
It's not what? You're going to say it's not...
It's not a terrible movie.
No, it's not a terrible movie. It is a clever story.
It's not Whiplash.
Oh, fuck, I hated the movie so much. It's a clever story. It was well acted. It was well shot for their use of practical effects and, you know, clever camera movements and things that they did to make the dream-like, memory-like part of it seem, you know, real. I think that this movie, first and foremost, doesn't hit me as hard as it did other people because I did not see it at a formable age. Young, sweet, stupid Maggie was not quite getting so completely devastated by the wrong man that she had been deeply in love with for way too long. That hadn't happened yet, so I was still kind of full of that idiotic belief that maybe this older man that I should not have had any emotions for actually did like me back. And even if I did watch this movie after, you know, my heart had been shattered, it doesn't mean that I felt those same emotions. I don't know. Like, the first time I saw this movie when I was young and impressionable, this movie did not hit home in the way that I felt like I ever wanted to totally forget something that had ever happened to me. And then seeing it yesterday again, you know, 20 plus, no, yeah, almost 20 years later, 19 years later, I still don't have that feeling because I've grown, right? As a person, as a woman. For God's sakes, I'm 40 now. Like, I especially don't want to forget the memories that I have because they've brought me this far and have made me who I am, right? And I do understand that pain being so deep and so devastating that you just think that if I could just take it away, it wouldn't hurt. But then you're the loss of the joy and the fun times and the sweet times and, you know, the lessons you learn from the bad times. All that is gone too. And I think you see it in Joel and Clementine that they're, you know, a part of them is lost now. I don't think that this is necessarily the whole having your memory erased is a procedure that leaves you a better person on the other side. It also doesn't seem to take right away, considering that it's mentioned several times that people are back for multiple sessions. And so, I don't know, like, this movie didn't speak to me in that way that made me feel like, oh God, I wish I was Clementine or I wish I was Joel, right? And I feel that to a certain extent, good movies make you want to be a part of them or make you feel like you're a part of them, versus this movie that just made me kind of hate everybody because there is not a single redeeming character in this film. Not one.
That's very true.
Every single character in this film is a complete and utter piece of shit. And our main characters are the worst of, well, no, because like Tom Wilkinson and Elijah Wood, huge pieces of shit.
Yes, absolutely.
Mark Ruffalo, kind of to a lesser extent, he wasn't so much a creepy pervert like his coworkers, you know, doing what he's doing, his recklessness and, you know.
I mean, he's sleeping with a coworker
while they're on the job.
In another man's house.
They're drinking, they're eating his food. Like
he's not great.
No, he's not great.
And the way he reacts to Elijah Wood saying that he stole.
Yeah, the panties.
And his reaction of like, oh, that's bad, but then ends up just laughing with him about it.
In that way that you're just like, hey, you like, you know, don't do that.
But
I'm gonna make you think that I approve of it. Awkward. I don't know. Like watching it yesterday, I didn't feel anything because I just sort of hated all the characters. You know, it's a fine film, but I have people that revere this movie in like the way that I revere like Pride and Prejudice. Like they love it. It's deeply important to them. It's deeply romantic. I don't see it. It's, you know, deeply thoughtful. And I get it. I've said it 1,000 times. Art is subjective. And subjectively, this is not the kind of art that I gravitate towards. So I'm not going to say like, oh, I don't understand why you don't like this movie. Fuck you for not liking it. What I'm saying is, I guess I'm glad that other people find something in this art that they relate to in that way. But I sure as hell don't. And so I'm going to look at it with an objective point of view, you know, to be like, I don't like this movie because I don't like these characters, and these are the reasons why, from what they do in the movie as I see them. So don't feel like just because I'm not a fan of this movie, I'm shitting on the fact that you are. I don't care if you are. Good for you. That's great. Have fun. I'm glad you have it. They're all assholes. Every single character is an asshole. And those also aren't fun movies to watch unless something bad happens to them. Then it's fun to watch when every character is an asshole. So, Caveman, thoughts?
Oh boy. Okay, how do I go after this? Yes, I agree with you that everybody in this movie is an asshole. The very first thing I wrote down for this movie was, well, first I wrote down, I miss Jim Carrey movies. But the very first thing I was writing down was, this guy is traveling on a train. He's just sitting by himself, minding his own business, and occasionally glances over at her. But it wasn't really an invitation for her to come over. And the way she just immediately latches onto him. Yeah. And keeps bothering him, gets upset twice during their conversation at him when he didn't even ask her to come over. Yeah. Like, to start a conversation and then disagree with something they say is like, okay, how about...
Yeah. Like, I don't know you.
I don't know you. I was just minding my own business. How about we, like, sit in separate train cars?
Yeah, like
I'm already...
Just leave me alone.
Immediately, like, a red flag. Like, please stop talking to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the introvert side of you, my love.
She guilt trips him into a car ride, and then guilt trips him again into coming up to her place. How she's just going to be so sad if he doesn't do this. And then the interaction that he has up in her place for the first time. Well, first time that we're seeing. Yeah. Is just so cringy that I think I would have ran out of that room and...
Oh, you would have run screaming for the hills if a woman came on to you that fiercely.
But it wasn't just fierce. The way she was just so manipulative. Yeah. And kind of evil. Like, it felt like she knew what she was doing to get what she wanted. And it was just so uncomfortable watching him just kind of immediately be, just because she's a woman and is attractive, that I'm going to enjoy. Well, she's paying attention to me, so I guess I'll go along with it.
I think the idea comes from certain men's desire to have a woman walk into their life, somebody who's beautiful and bright and bubbly and outgoing and everything that they're not, right? And especially in the early 2000s, like late 90s, early 2000s, even early 90s, fuck, I mean, half of Ben Stiller's career was, oh, I love this woman, but she won't love me, but she's so outgoing, and I'm Ben Stiller, meh. You know, they want a woman who will just appear out of nowhere and be like, I'm beautiful, and we're going to have sex, and you're going to fall in love with me, and I'm amazing, and I'm going to heal your trauma. Like, men wanted that at a time when, you know, shockingly, they didn't go out and get therapy. And this is another in a long, long line of movies that we've watched where men need fucking therapy. Joel needs therapy. I mean, everybody in this movie needs therapy, like, hardcore. It's that idea that, like, they don't have to fix themselves. Somebody's going to come along and fix them. And that someone has got to be a beautiful, skinny, big-titted, colored-haired psycho that they fall in love with. And that is sort of where the manic pixie dream girl trope came from, because a lot of men then wrote that character, and then a lot of young, beautiful actresses played that character. And it became a thing, right? Like, a certain subset of sad, lonely men wanted that girl to come along and save them, make their life better. But those women don't exist. And if they do, they are such giant red flags that I don't think that the relationships would have ever lasted if there was a relationship in the first place. And on top of all of that, like, women have their own agency and their own problems, and they don't need to fix the men that they're with. Also, like, it's not just Joel that needs therapy. Clementine needs serious fucking therapy.
Oh, of course. Yeah,
and
everybody in this movie needs therapy.
Yeah, but, like, something's genuinely wrong with her. Like, something really bad happened to this poor girl, probably at a pretty young age, and it feels like she just, you know, like a lot of women have had to do, just kind of ran from it. I don't know. I am projecting a little bit. The way that she plays this character, Kate Winslet plays this character, is like, this woman is so damaged. And she says to Joel, like, I'm damaged. Like, I know you think I'm fun, and I'm fun, but I'm pretty fucking damaged, and I just want my own peace. And he was like, well, okay, I want that anyways, right? Like, you know, this is not a relationship that's going to last. And both of them are so toxic for the other person.
Does the movie want us to root for them?
I think
to
it does.
be together?
I think it does. I think that people do. You know, I don't know where off the top of my head this is rated in terms of romances, but I guarantee goddamn to you it's in the top 20 at least of, like, best movie romances of all time. And it's always like tragically they break up, and are they good for each other? Are they not? We'll never know. But the movie ends with giving us hope. No. This couple is perpetually on and off and unbearably volatile with
the fact that they met up with each other for a second time after being wiped, but treats him like shit again. And Joel just kind of takes it again, and it's one of those things where I feel like it's just this repetitive pattern that they're stuck in, which was making me wonder if the movie was trying to tell me something about relationships that are in a repetitive pattern don't work out, but at the same time they also make it seem like I'm supposed to be happy for them getting together again.
Like, oh, love triumphed in the end, right? Like, that's what this movie ends up being, is, oh, love has triumphed in the end. But it's like, this love should not triumph.
I don't see the love.
No. Like, they're wildly codependent on the other, you know, while also being wildly independent of the other. I mean, Joel was so mean to Clementine. She would come up with an idea, and he would immediately shoot it down. She would reference something. He would laugh at her for it. Like, he was never sincere. And I feel like a lot of the fights that they get in are because he's not present in the moment like she is. He's in his head, the past, the future, wherever the fuck. He needs so much therapy.
He definitely has ADHD.
Yeah, no, that is also true. So he is so in his head that he's not responding the way she wants him to. And then he says something dry and sarcastic, and she takes it the wrong way and yells at him. I definitely don't know where that sort of relationship would end up, but we've worked through our problems.
You trying to start something with me?
I'm not trying to start anything. You want to fight?
Probably will.
No, not on my birthday. Today's a happy day of steak. And old fashions.
Steak and old fashions all day.
It's going to be amazing. Look, every relationship has its issues. But these ones, like, I never felt that Joel genuinely loved her. I never felt that chemistry.
Like,
these
until
two felt
he
like
was
really
losing
good
her.
Friends. Yeah.
Like,
Was he afraid? Was it genuinely love? Or is it that he was finally tapping into that love?
Or he's afraid of...
When he couldn't have it anymore.
Or he's afraid of losing her because he doesn't because he feels like he was lucky enough to do it once, that getting another...
I mean, it's the regret before the big drastic action. I understand that. But in watching his memories of her, watching how he, in his head, was reacting when he was finally seeing, like, oh my God, I was really happy here, or I've forgotten this, or like, I forgot that this brought me joy. I feel like he did see the love that he had for her. And I think that he regretted how he treated her at the time. But at the time, he was a dick. All of his memories of him wanting to be a better person for her have also been wiped. And he starts over as kind of an asshole.
Well, I know we've already talked about some of the cast, but let's get officially into the cast. We've got Jim Carrey, which, do you have a favorite Jim Carrey movie?
I would say my favorite funny Jim Carrey movie is Dumb and Dumber. And my favorite serious Jim Carrey movie is, I guess a Truman Show or Man on the Moon, because I really enjoyed Man on the Moon. Like, it's a movie I've gone back and watched multiple times, even though Andy Kaufman is such a kind of annoying character. I think that Jim Carrey does a great job in it, but fucking The Truman Show is incredible, so one of those two. What about you?
As much as I, too, really love Dumb and Dumber, I think my favorite Jim Carrey funny movie is Ace Ventura. And then, as far as...
Ace Ventura did not age well.
Nothing I liked from the 90s
Yeah,
aged well.
that's true. I mean, it is funny up until a point.
But I also absolutely love Bruce Almighty.
Bruce Almighty is a fun one. Yeah.
I think that's another... Liar Liar is another one that I...
Liar Liar's good. I haven't seen it in a very long time. My favorite ever Jim Carrey role is... what is the name? Leap Day Williams.
Oh, God.
From
30
the
Rock.
30 Rock Leap Day episode.
His 5-second
It's a couple minutes.
cameo.
The fact that he came back to basically film a Jim Carrey movie that was make-believe, it brings me endless joy. And Andy McDowell's in it. Like, fucking, I want to see Leap Day Williams so bad.
I would say I think my more serious Jim Carrey movie would probably be The Majestic.
Yeah, you do like that one. That one was fine. I think I remember watching it. I remember watching it with you. I've seen it a couple times. I think my response was just like, yeah, it was a good one. I don't remember it that well.
Then we got Kate Winslet.
So beautiful.
Kate
I love her
Winslet.
so much, and she does a good job playing this character. But she does such a good job playing this character unlikable that I do not like this character. Apparently, Clementine is Kate Winslet's favorite character she's ever played.
Okay.
Which, I guess, you do you, boo. But
Probably had a good time on set.
I
That probably helped.
I don't know how well this set was ran. Apparently, Jim Carrey didn't enjoy working on it, and neither did Tom Wilkinson. They didn't like the director's, laissez-faire French attitude to making the movie. And, like, I think that much like a Stanley Kubrick or an Alfred Hitchcock, the director was so mean to Jim Carrey on purpose to get the kind of act that he wanted out of him, which, makes me think, oh, well, what an asshole. You don't need to do that to your actors. Anyways, I don't think it was... I don't know. I can't say for sure what kind of set it was, but what I read off of IMDb. Clementine's interesting, but Kate Winslet does a great job.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I feel like both Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet did just fine. I don't think there was a bad performance.
I don't think they had a lot of chemistry.
No, which is why they shouldn't be together.
Yeah.
I think...
But, I mean, like...
No, I know what you mean. The actors themselves didn't seem to have...
They felt more like I could believe them as friends or siblings more than I could believe them as romantic
I could see
partners.
siblings for sure.
Like, she's the kind of bossy older sister, and he's the goofy younger brother, and they've got to save Christmas. Or, their mom died, and they've got to come to terms with it. I would watch that movie, that dramatic Kate Winslet and Jim Carrey movie. But, yeah, I didn't buy them as a... No, I mean, it's hard to buy them as a good couple. I'm sure there were people out there that idolized this relationship and thought, gee, I hope I can have something that beautiful and tragic one day. But I guarantee you those people 20 years later are like, I really wish I didn't have that type of relationship because they don't end well, folks.
Yeah. No,
Sorry.
The whole time I was watching, I was like, God, I'm so glad I'm not living that kind of drama.
I'm so glad our marriage is healthy.
Yay.
Cheers.
For healthy marriages.
Healthy marriages.
We've got Tom Wilkinson. Always
a joy. We miss him. You know, what an incredible...
We saw him in another podcast where we did the Grand Budapest Hotel, even
Yes,
though he
that's
was
what he
only
was
in it for
in.
like a couple minutes. But
And he's gone now.
of
And
course,
that's
he was
a
in
bummer.
the Batman Begins.
Mm-hmm.
I love his character in Batman Begins.
He was Ben Franklin in that John Adams
HBO series.
I tried to rewatch around the time I got super into Hamilton because I was like excited to see Hamilton on it.
Sure.
And I got about 4 episodes in and it was just like, it's kind of a snooze fest. Although the guy they hired to play Jefferson was fine as fuck.
I remember you liking Jefferson.
Yeah.
And I remember...
And David Morse was in it.
I remember Tom Wilkinson's performance
Yeah, it was
as
decent.
especially when he comes back from France.
Yeah.
Or even when he's in France. Just a horn dog of a...
Yep. But, you know, and in this movie, he too is kind of a horn dog of a man.
Oh, boy.
And up till that point, he was the character that I was kind of rooting for the most because he was the one that seemed the most
well, he was the
genuine
doctor, and he
in
was
the disingenuine
he's
characters.
You feel
and
like
then you're like, nope, he's a piece of shit.
you feel like the workers who are in Jim Carrey's house are the
are problematic.
The problematic people who are breaking laws, and you're like, man, if the doctor, Tom Wilkinson's character,
saw this,
what would he think?
He'd be so angry.
And then it turns out he probably would join in.
Yeah.
Or at least say don't do that again, but not really do anything to punish somebody.
Yeah, like I felt bad for him too, which is upsetting in its own way.
I don't think you should.
But I felt bad for him up until the point that we found out that he was a awful pervert.
Right.
Because every time Kirsten Dunst, who plays Mary, every time she would gush over him, you could see how uncomfortable he was. And I was watching that and I was thinking, oh, honey. Oh, you stupid young woman in love with an older man.
A married older man.
You're so stupid this isn't going to end well, but you just keep trying. But like, you dumb girl. And then I found out, well, no, they had an affair. He erased her memory. Either... She wanted it.
Yeah.
But still, cheated on his wife
saying why
with
she
her,
it.
then puts her through this whole practice, and then continues to work with her.
Yeah, can we erase her memory and give her a different job where you're not in the office together anymore either?
Or just, let her go be free and do anything else?
Yeah, that was rough.
Oh, God. I was so upset by that. I thought I was upset with the stolen panties. I was so upset with I'm erasing you, my affair partner, but I'm still going to work with you. Like, gross.
Next up, we got Elijah Wood.
Lige. Oh, baby Lige.
This came out in 2004, so the year after Return of the King.
Mm-hmm. Trying to get away from Frodo Baggins by being the worst.
I mean, between this, I remember Sin City also came out later.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the exact.
Sin City is a movie that I like, but I feel like I shouldn't like.
I haven't watched it in a while, but
I don't think it's aged well, but it's beautiful.
It's never been good.
No.
Like the things that happen were always. I remember everything being
borderline.
Bad.
Yeah.
Well, it's all bad stuff. It's a bad city. It's full of criminals and people who suck. It came out in 2005, so that's a year after this. I think I'm very sure I saw Sin City first before I saw.
Oh, I definitely saw Sin City.
Because I saw Sin City in the theater. Yeah. Because just the way it was shot, the fact that we're talking about Frank Miller, who I think 300 came before this.
Yeah.
So a lot of Frank Miller became like on people's radar a lot more. Plus, he was directing this one.
And famously, he didn't like any of his stuff and blah, blah, blah.
He directed this with Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez all together. 3 directors. I'm pretty sure that
Plus, the cast was solid.
I think the Directors Guild had issues with 3 directors being in this movie together.
Robert Rodriguez dropped out of it for a minute, or was that Death Proof?
I think they just made Frank Miller. I think they ended up making Frank Miller just a writer in the credits.
No.
I forget how it worked out.
Yeah,
I might be
doesn't
wrong,
matter.
but
that's for
that's
for
a
that
whole
episode.
nother movie. I was just my whole point was it was my first movie of seeing Elijah Wood post Lord of the Rings. Just because his character was this just kind of insane, creepy guy that had no lines or anything. He was just a creep. So seeing him as a creep again in this movie, kind of not surprising.
Yeah. I
you
don't
also
know. He's just awful in this movie. Like, his character is abhorrent. And I think he's supposed to be. I think he's supposed to be so that you feel like Joel is the better pick for Clementine.
Sure.
Which he is, comparatively. But also he's not, to
Neither
an extent
one of these
she
guys
should
should
have
be in a
just
relationship with her.
gone off on her own and went and talked to Dr. Fraser Crane. Like, she... God, that woman needs help.
We also have a really young Mark Ruffalo.
Oh, baby Ruffalo. I don't think
He looks like a teenager in this.
I don't think I ever clocked that he and Kirsten Dunst are roughly the same age, because I've always felt like Mark Ruffalo has always been the older man, and I feel like Kirsten Dunst has always played the younger woman. Like, my favorite Kirsten Dunst movies are when she's like in her early 20s, late teens, early 20s.
Kirsten Dunst and Mark Ruffalo are 20 years apart.
Well, that would explain it. Wait, how old were either one of them when they filmed this movie? Because he looked like a baby, and she looked like she did in Spider-Man.
She's 3 years younger than you.
Okay.
So, however old you were in 2004.
Okay.
You were 20.
20, yeah. So she was 17 when she made this movie?
Yes?
No. Ew.
And Mark Ruffalo was born in 1967.
Oh, God.
You know,
Yeah, no wonder this movie creeps me out so much.
It's weird. 20 years. I mean, he doesn't look like he's that old
No.
in this. He looks pretty young.
He looks like he's got a baby face.
But
he very quickly turned into, like...
But she also was... I mean, if you think this was...
She was not only 17 when she made this movie.
It came out in 2004, and she was born in 87.
Oh.
Oh, 82. Wait. Oh.
Okay. I was like...
She has a younger brother named... Oh, this whole thing... There's 2 birth dates in here. One's for her younger brother. I don't care about him. She was born in 82.
Okay. Okay. So she
she's
was 22. Yeah.
She's 22 in this movie. But still, Mark Ruffalo was...
in his mid to late 30s.
Yeah, 37. Hey. Mark Ruffalo's 37 in a row.
Yeah, so I guess that's another... although they don't specify the ages of any of them, but you could tell that Elijah Wood's character is a young man because he's gross and awful. You know, Kirsten Dunst is young and stupid, and Mark Ruffalo should be the one that's aware of things and maybe the adult, but he's clearly a bit of a young man in Arrested Development, like so many of them were in the early 2000s. And, like, it's a phenomenal cast. I would love to see this cast in any other film.
Yeah, especially, like, making this, like, a modern movie with these same people
Rest
in
in
it.
peace, can't have Tom Wilkinson.
No,
but,
of course.
You know, pour one out to the king.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Again, okay, so Kate Winslet and Jim Carrey play brother and sister coming to terms with the death of their abusive mom, right? Because it's always an abusive mom. Mark Ruffalo's the husband to Kate Winslet. Elijah Wood is the youngest brother or a cousin or something. Kirsten Dunst is in there somehow. Like, I would watch this cast again. I would not watch this movie again.
At least Kate Winslet and Mark Ruffalo are closer in age.
Yeah. We... also I had to close my laptop because producer Robin was intent on sleeping on top of it no matter what I did to get him off the table. But we did have Mel from Frasier in this movie, Niles' psychotic second wife. Don't know the actress's name offhand because, again, I had to close it. But
Mel. Wait.
Yeah, she was the one that marries Niles right before.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I know who Mel was, but I'm trying to think of... Oh, she was the...
She was the friend. She was Jim Carrey's friend, the wife.
Right, married to David Cross.
Yes. Who both of them were also just supremely unlikable in this movie because their characters were also not redeeming in any possible way. They fought all the time.
Yeah, another relationship that was
Everybody
just
in
like...
this movie drives impaired.
Like, you could tell Rob and Carrie, who are
Yeah.
the friends' names.
What's the actress's name?
Jane Addams.
There it is.
Carrie and Rob, just like with Joel and Clementine, they just seem to hate each other.
Yeah.
But they're a married couple who hate each other, whereas the other two are just a on again, off again, hating couple. I mean, it's...
Do you remember when, like, pop culture, I mean, especially in the 50s, a lot of it, I mean, for all of pop culture, modern pop culture, I should say, probably from the invention of, well, no, because even the invention of radio, I guess it's gone back a very long time. But there's so many stories about married couples that hate each other. Or, you know, it's always the slovenly husband who doesn't know anything and is just sports, beer, and his buddies. And the uptight, skinny wife that's like, being the, you know, a nag coming after the guy. Like, no, they never talked. There was never any resolution. There was never any growth. It's, you know, it's Lois and Peter. They hate each other, but they're married. Like, that was a huge thing. So many people grew up. I grew up seeing couples that were always fighting and there was always animosity and they always hated each other. Fuck, I saw that in my own family. Like, and now here I am in a pretty good marriage of almost 20 years and I don't hate you. I think you're a lot of fun and I like being with you. And sometimes I do hate you, but that's because I love you so much I can't stand it. And because we get into a dumb fight about nothing that we inevitably talk about, work through, and move on from. Like healthy couples do. I don't get it, man. So much of our, like, favorite pop culture is you look back at it and you go, oh, boy.
This movie almost didn't happen, or at least Charlie Kaufman almost didn't finish the screenplay because Christopher Nolan's Memento came out before this.
No.
And they were worried that because their movie was also your memory being erased kind of movie, they were a little worried that audiences wouldn't...
I mean, it's enough different, isn't it? I think that...
It is,
I think if
to
you were
me,
to ask people...
Because you don't see what's happening inside of the main character from Memento's brain. Whereas this movie is primarily just him visually seeing his memories going away, which is a different kind of movie that
it is a different kind of movie and it's a different idea. Whereas one guy has a medical condition that doesn't allow him to form memories, and then you watch the movie backwards. Like, that's kind of crazy. This movie is at least told in a linear and non-linear way, so there are parts that are moving forward and parts that are moving backwards, and you kind of have to figure out where's what, and it starts in the middle or it starts near the end. And I mean, I don't know, like, they are very different movies. Would you want to strip your memories away like this? I
think, as much as I haven't been in enough relationships to
don't I know it?
To need to forget anything or to have, but I can understand. So I don't know what it is to feel true heartache and loss from a long-term relationship gone too soon than what you wanted. However, the memory wiping wasn't just for people in relationships.
No.
I mean, there was a woman
the woman with the dog.
The woman with the dog, and then a man with a trophy, which I was thinking was like from his son or his daughter, who wanted to forget.
That would be
like the death. And I'm like,
no, but I wouldn't want to forget.
You don't want to forget the person.
No.
In a death way. Like, same thing with the pet. Losing a pet is hard.
It's incredibly hard.
And sad, but eventually you get over it.
Some people forever. Yeah.
And you know, I say you get over it, but you never get over any sort of death, whether it's
grief
human or pet.
stays with you. You just grow with it.
Yeah. And I hate to sound like my parents and your parents, but
boomers.
Even something like death and building yourself back up from it really builds a person's character.
Yeah.
And it makes you become stronger from your weaknesses and your sadness. And
you learn lessons.
It's all it's all part of life. And the wonderful thing about this life is that the good and the bad, you're going to always remember the good times. You always, when you look through your photos or your Instagram, a lot of times it's not, there might be some bad things that happen that you want to remember. But for the most part, you're not taking pictures of terrible moments. You're not remembering the worst moments of your life. There might be some regret towards the end, but I think for humans, we try to find the positive in things. We want to remember the good stuff, whether it's happening more or less than what we'd wish sometimes. But I feel like getting over a long-term, short-term, whatever term relationship, losing a partner like that from a breakup.
Yeah.
And at least it wasn't because somebody died. It wasn't like Clementine died.
No.
And he wants to forget her memory, his memory of her. It's, it was a relationship that I think more than anything, he wanted his mind erased because he just was going insane with not knowing why she left.
Well, no, he knew why she left. I think that it was, I don't know, I felt like it was out of anger because he was like, if you did this to me, I'm going to do it to you.
Sure. I mean, he acted on impulse. And
so did she.
That very true. But she's a very impulsive person.
Yeah. Which is another giant red fucking flag. But, there's being impulsive and then there's that.
I think one question that we try to ask on this podcast now, more than anything, when we reach a movie that either one of us or both of us aren't liking as much as others, is to try to find the positive things that we like about it. And I have to say, one of my favorite things that this movie does that I did enjoy watching was the cinematography and the set design.
Yeah.
There was a lot of really neat, for a 2004 movie, a really in your head kind of film. The transitions from different scenes, different moments that he was losing when they're in the library towards the beginning, and he kind of gets zipped from the library into his friend's house.
Yeah. And
the background that he was in the hallway was the library, and the lights just... Anyway, the way it looked was really neat.
Yeah, the cinematography and the set design is really good. I loved the shots, any of the shots on, like, the snowy beach. The bed being out on a snowy, frozen beach was something interesting. I found it fascinating that this movie only ever takes place in cold weather. All the memories you see are of cold weather. Like, there's very little warmth to this movie, like natural sunlight warmth. And that was probably done on purpose because, you're sad in the winter. Seasonal affective disorder, it's a thing. I kind of enjoyed the sets and the views. I liked the practical effects that they used and the camera work. Like, it is a beautiful film, I will say that. And it is well acted enough in that these characters are so awful that I didn't like anybody in them. It's an interesting story. It's just not meant for me. And I'm also kind of glad it's not meant for you because I didn't want this to be another one of those films where you're like, damn it, Maggie, it's a masterpiece.
Come
and
on,
I'm like,
why don't you see it? Open your eyes.
Oh, just pay attention better. I mean, I'm sure I'm going to piss off people by saying I don't like this film, but I don't. I don't like the manic pixie dream girl trope. It's so hard to say. The man who coined that phrase inevitably was like, I'm really sorry that I coined it. Actually about a Kirsten Dunst role from Elizabethtown.
Oh my goodness.
Which is a movie that I thoroughly enjoy, but
she
mainly for the
is.
soundtrack.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
She really is.
Yeah, she's one of the best of them. But
she almost introduces herself to him the same way Clementine introduces herself to
It's been a hot
Joel.
minute since I've seen Elizabethtown, but I never was into the romance between her and Orlando Bloom. I wish it had just stayed like a family drama instead of them trying to shoehorn a love interest into there, but I also don't think Cameron Crowe's made a good movie after Almost Famous, so we're there.
I have a coworker who's never seen Almost Famous. I was like...
Tell him to get on over here
said,
and change
we
his
were
life.
talking about Cameron Crowe, but only because I brought up Aloha.
Yeah, which I never saw.
It's not good, and don't bother.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to.
And he kind of got put in director's jail because of Aloha.
Yeah.
But I had brought it up to a coworker, and he was like, "Who's Cameron Crowe?"
Oh.
I was like, "Really?" And he's a movie buff, and
Yeah. He's a movie buff and he doesn't know?
no, not by name, but once I said Jerry Maguire,
Yeah.
which he knew, and he knew Vanilla Sky, and so I was like, "Oh, watch Almost Famous because that's the best.
That's the best one.
Better than Vanilla Sky. It's
Yeah.
better than Jerry Maguire. Other than Almost Famous, the best thing Cameron Crowe does is his song selections.
Yeah, the Elizabethtown soundtrack, which doesn't exist on streaming, you have to like find the songs and put it together. There's some solid bangers on that I
That's right.
still
I know you
listen
have it
to.
in CD.
Yeah.
No, the Elizabethtown.
God, I don't know where it is anymore.
The Elizabethtown soundtrack is great. The Vanilla Sky soundtrack is really good.
Almost Famous is perfect.
Yeah, he.
I'm gay.
So, what would you give Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind out of 5 stars?
I'd give it a 2.
Wow.
Maybe a 2.5. I'd give it a 2.5. I don't think it's low enough to be a 2. I don't think that it warrants a 3 because there's so much about it I don't like. So yeah, I'm giving it a 2.5. What about you, Caveman?
I'm gonna give it a 3. And
Fair.
I was 2.5 just seems so low. I think Jim Carrey's performance is enough for me to give it a little, and then the cinematography is just a little bit more. So it's going from a 2.5 to a 3, mainly based off of Jim Carrey's performance and cinematography.
That's fair.
So Maggie,
Yes, Caveman.
I have 2 questions for you.
Kick it.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
My love. I'm finally happy this episode.
So first question.
Yeah.
Would the presence of Oscar Isaac have made Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind a better film?
I would have liked seeing him in it, but he would have played an asshole, so no. No, I wouldn't have enjoyed putting him into this movie. Because I would just be like, oh, man. Like, no, he's an asshole, too. And I like when he plays assholes. Like, Llewellyn Davis from Inside Llewellyn Davis is just the worst. But, oh, he's so lovable, and he's so sweet. So, no.
And second question, which character would you have had Oscar Isaac play?
This is hard because I don't want him to be any of these characters. I mean, I think he could have brought a sort of sweet, lovelorn sadness to Joel, and he would have been fun as the Mark Ruffalo role. And those are the only 2 men that I would, or characters that I would replace him with.
I definitely agree with Joel.
Yeah.
Seeing what he did with Stephen Grant in Moon Knight,
Oh, my baby.
I think he could.
Sweet soft boy.
Because Stephen Grant and Joel have a lot in common.
Yeah, but
And you throw
Stephen
a
Grant's
pixie-
not the biggest asshole, though.
He's not an asshole, but I think he could get just as frustrated
Yeah.
and a little outside of his comfort zone the way Joel was.
You mean because he's good at playing mad?
No, that's Mark Spector.
Oh, Stephen Grant is the sweetest, softest boy, and I love him. And that has been this week's episode of Movie Mingle on Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. Next week, we've got one of our favorites here at Movie Mingle, and a movie I'm super excited to see again. Saltburn, motherfuckers. It's going to be a wacky one, and I can't wait. So get your cup of bathtub water and join us for that. In the meantime, you can always find us on Instagram, Threads, and Letterboxd at MovieMinglePod. You can find us on YouTube at MovieMinglePodcast and write us any questions and comments you might have on movieminglepod@gmail.com. Go ahead and throw us some love in the podcast platform of your choice and tell your friends about us because we have fun here and we hope that you do too. Until next week, go find somebody that's good for you and don't steal anybody's panties. Bye! And go mingle!
Are you an effective team?
We are an effective team.
Let them fight.
How did you just do that?
I'm a really good lawyer.
Here on Caladan, we've ruled by air power and sea power. On Arrakis, we need to cultivate desert power.
Welcome, Mr. Beach. What's that bar? I'm a little confused.
Well, we wouldn't want that, would we?
I don't want to brag, but I will.
I was in the Avengers.
The Avengers?
Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you.
What is that?
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
Toga, 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 toga.